Okay, going for a take.
See that name there.
Take one.
We are going for the take where we get the take of those who work in the film and TV industry on a specifically chosen movie and their time in the business. My name's Adam Hussain. I'm going insane. Going to pass it on to Ben for episode number 10. It's going to be carnage, like Matthew Khan is the GOAT. Thank you very much. There you go, boys.
Adam, that was beautiful. That was stunning, man.
Welcome.
That was poetry.
Right, and yet today's take is going to be on the new film, The Bikeriders.
And in today's take, we're joined with the one and only Liam Scholes.
And today's take is going to be chaotic.
Wow.
Dude, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. Oh, no, not again. It started.
We'll
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Good,
man.
man. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. So what was your take on the film, Liam?
You know what? I love a good film, and I like a bit of a gritty film. I slap a war film on, and I'm happy. And I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. In terms of you get a lot of films nowadays because it was quite a long film as well. We didn't really feel like it dragged on. Like there was enough going on that I felt quite chilled watching it. And I also nicked half of Adam's popcorn, these Cheetos popcorn, so they kept me sorted out.
What kind of popcorn were we talking?
It was like these American, what was it?
American
Red Hot Cheetos
spicy
popcorn.
Cheetos popcorn.
Filth,
like-
mate.
Nah, I'm basic. I'm just a sweet popcorn guy.
I tried it and I didn't like it, so I just gave it to Liam.
See, I could have paid like £5 for the pot of popcorn, but these were free.
So it's
so
popcorn with Cheetos put in?
no, it was like Cheetos flavoured popcorn.
Cheetos that have been...
What?
Yeah.
Adam brought them,
Where
not
did you
me.
go to?
No, I
not
got
from
these
the
from a
shop.
shop. I got these from some American store.
That is such a you thing to have. That is such
I was
a you
like,
thing to
because
have.
I was in there with my family, and I was like, well, that looks pretty cool. Come on, give it a try.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Like,
So I
passed it to Liam.
literally ate a full bag of Cheetos flavoured popcorn to the
Fair
Bike Riders.
play, man.
Decent.
I mean, to be fair, it was one of them films. Like you were saying, it's a long film, but for me, like, you can't figure it out. Like, you can't figure out the plot. And that's what kept me hooked, because you're thinking one thing, and then another thing happened. I think at the end, for example, spoiler alert, when Tom Hardy's character, Johnny, gets killed.
What?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Did he get killed?
did you miss that?
Yeah, must
noticed it in the film.
Yeah, really.
Like food coma.
Innit? But like, you can't, you don't expect it. Like him to just whip out a gun and kill him, like just like that. It captivates you.
I think there was a lot of loose ends that didn't really tie up. I like the whole vibe of the film, of it being like a sort of like a documentary, but like as a film as well, with like really like intense, like deep cinematic acting. But what I would have liked, I know it's because of his character, who Austin Butler played. He just wanted to go off and do his own thing, just ride his bike. But it would have been interesting to see him have a bit of a rivalry with this young guy who kills Johnny, to try and like take over the throne.
Yeah,
I feel like if Austin Butler's character like decided, actually I will take over the gang because of Johnny dying, that's what he wanted, I think it would have been a whole lot more interesting as part of the story. But it didn't go that way.
I think the thing that was cute about that though is that the whole film, like she spoke about seeing like men cry, and that you don't see men cry, and that was like a common thing throughout the film. She was like, she only saw her dad cry twice, and she'd never seen him cry, even when he got his ankle done in. Never cried. The only thing he nearly cried about was the fact that he could never ride a bike again. At the very end of the film, you sort of see how special that relationship between Benny and Johnny was, that he actually like cries at the end, and I thought that was quite good. Like I thought that was I thought it was a film with a good ending. I thought that was all right.
I think it kind of like tied it together in a nice way. It still kept it ambiguous in terms of like where he's going to go off to next. Even like the ending where you kind of hear the sound of the bikes like roaring as you zoom into like his point of view, and you wonder like whether or not he is happy, like he's found that family life or not.
You talk about the ending as well. In the very last shot, he does 3 looks, which I think kind of like resemble the whole film plot. So like in the first look, he's looking down and looking kind of dark, and like being haunted by these memories. And then he's looking up. It's like things start going up and improving. And then he looks at her and he smiles. That was basically the beginning, middle, and end.
I'd be smiling though like that.
I don't know if anyone else That's true.
Sorry, boys, but if Jodie Comer was my missus in the window, I'd be smiling.
But I don't know if that's just me thinking too deeply, or if he did that deliberately.
But it's an unfinished story. Like, it is based off a real story. So for me, like, you can't finish it. Like,
But it was just 3 looks that he did. In that ending shot.
But the thing is with Austin Butler's character, especially, was I saw bits of his character from Dune 2 in that like psychotic, craziness. But it was stiller, and it was more contained. I think his character like choices and the way he presented Benny were really nice to watch. I think, like you were saying at the end with the vulnerability, the depth of vulnerability that you see when in the whole film you don't know really what's going on in his head because he's so quiet and so laid back about everything. So to see him just break down like that, it's
the only time he cries.
Exactly.
When Johnny dies.
It's beautiful. And that film is for me, it's just a film full of testosterone. Like it's a film full of angry men who want
with
to...
trauma and who are damaged, and they're dealing with all of this by being rebellious and going against the law.
Well, it's like being in the biker gang, innit? I quite like the whole thing of like bikers with the reputation that biker gangs have. It's like that Johnny, Tom Hardy's character, set the biker group up out of a good heart because he was watching a Marlon Brando film, and it was like, oh, like it's done from a good place, and it's just about... And everyone, like, they all have their own bit and say why they joined. And the common theme is they're all a little bit lost in life. They've not really got a place to go. That's where they find themselves. And then when you see the new generation come along, it's like, I mean, it happens in every walk of life, innit? That the minute there's an idea that's cool and great, you have people join along and then just completely transform the idea into... Because now they're running prostitute rings and doing loads of drugs and killing, when actually he only set it up so him and his mates had something to do with the racing, and all he wanted to do was sit and discuss bikes.
Yeah, I reckon that, like, like you were saying about the Marlon Brando stuff and that, and jumping off what you're talking about with Austin Butler, it kind of felt like all of them... Because Norman Reedus? Michael Shannon has that monologue where he talks about how the doctor told him that he was undesirable or whatever, and all of them kind of clock it, and they're all laughing before that, and then the mood kind of like drops because then you kind of see who these people are under the surface. But it kind of feels like, again, with the Marlon Brando thing, that they all just put on this character. They watch something on TV, they see some James Dean or whatever, and then they try and like put that onto themselves. So like I was watching Austin Butler and I was like, I feel like I'm watching a dude acting. But in my head now I'm like, was it because he was thinking that his character would be wanting to portray him like that? So Austin Butler's playing Benny, and Benny's trying to like be this kind of like cool, like enigmatic kind of mysterious dude, but really doesn't know who he is. He gets pulled one way by Johnny. He gets pulled one way by Cathy. And like still like, he's always saying he wants to leave. He never really wants to be with him. It doesn't seem to know where his place is.
Doesn't seem to want to be anywhere, does it? Because even if you look at him, like his and Cathy's relationship in the film, he's not really like
keen.
That like he leaves. It literally says in the film he leaves for a year, for just him, goes off, doesn't say bye, does one.
I think for him and for a lot of the others, part of the gang, it's a sense of purpose. Mm-hmm. You know, being part of this family, representing this family, standing up for them. Like even if you're about to get the shit kicked out of you or killed, you're still gonna be true to who you are and to your loved ones, and to just be free and be rebellious and go against what people would consider the norm. Yeah, and I think that's what was like, I think resonated with a lot of the gang members, because like a lot of them have like real like normal lives in the back, like the leader, Benny, Johnny.
One of the white names.
He wasn't watching the film as good as you boys.
One of the
Having a
Ennies.
Cheeto popcorn.
He's got a wife and 2 kids, and he's got a normal family, like normal family house.
Mm-hmm. But you kind of see it in that shot where like he's watching the TV and he leans in. He kind of looks at his. He even mimics Marlon Brando, like as he's delivering some of his lines. Yeah. It feels like these guys are like disenfranchised and disenfranchised. And just want to leave that life behind.
But you look at Marlon Brando, and Marlon Brando for me, when you watch his work, he's very vulnerable, but he's also like the ideal image of what masculinity should look like in a way, and you see that convey in the way He is, because he's this big tough guy, and it's not until he puts his ego aside and then he gets killed. Like, there's a quote in it that's referenced multiple times, which is fists or knives. And it's like, how far do you want to take it? Do you want to fight me or do you want to kill me? Because if you want to kill me, you want to take the gang away. If you want to fight me, then we'll see who's the strong guy. And he never lost until he got shot. So,
but even in that, I think he was a man till the very end.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand, he agreed a fight. Like, what I quite liked about the whole sort of film is, throughout, I really, really like the scene where they're there and the other gang come up to him and go, "You've scratched my bike." Now, there's a whole thing with guys, I think, in terms of like probably sort of a toxic idea of masculinity. Throw a few fists and afterwards we'll go and have a beer together. Yeah. And they have this big fight. And then afterwards they're all sat down talking about bikes and stuff. Like, they've won, we've lost, let's sit and have a chat. And I think similar to that, I think he was both prepared to lose or to win. And then I think when he went to that fight, I think where you sort of saw the change in the whole idea of what a biker is the fact that he went for the fight. And what I quite liked is you saw he had his knife in this hand, and then as he wiped his mouth, he had a knuckle duster on as well.
Yeah.
So he was ready for the fight and the knife fight. Bit dirty with the knuckle duster, but then it's like these younger guys that they kept going on about was dirtier than him.
But I feel like Johnny just put this on as a facade. I think it was a facade. He made this club just to ride bikes, and it developed into something else, you know. And he had to like keep it going, and he felt like a responsibility to owe it to all these people who felt like they had a family, to owe it to them to be this leader that he isn't actually is. You know, he wanted Benny to take over. He pulled him aside and said, "I don't want to do this. I want you to take over." And there's a little moment when he's leaving the house and his wife said, "Oh, pick up some eggs on your way back." And there was like a little moment where he was like, I'm off to go potentially kill a guy. I've got a wife and two kids. What am I doing? Yeah. So I feel like there was that conflict within him, which created such an amazing piece of a performance.
Yeah.
There's also the element as well that I found with him is that you'll notice anytime anyone went for the chat with him, it was always mentioned, can we have this chat privately? There was always lots of ears, and he always, like, you only ever saw him with his wife, and when he was with his wife, he was relatively silent. And he was relatively silent when he was around everyone until he had something to say. And anytime anyone went for a conversation with him, it was this whole idea of, can we have this alone, because you're surrounded by loads of people? But you look, whenever he needed a conversation, it had to be dead personal. So when he took Benny away, it was always like them two by themselves. And he didn't like ears being around, but he didn't mind ears being around the other way. That I think he probably felt a lot of confidence off the boys backing him. And he was sort of held up by these guys being like, he's our leader, because he could fight. Like they say in the film, like, he was dirtier than them. He might be smaller, but he's dirtier than them. And he could have these fights, but in terms of actual like knowledge and confidence, I think he was probably lacking it the most.
But I think it was the power that he gained from it as well. Like, they went to burn down a bar. They burned down this pub, and the police and the firemen were on standby. They weren't intervening because they were shit scared of him and his gang. And that's when he realised how much power he had.
Well, Jodie Comer had a great line there, didn't she, where she said like, she thinks it scared him because that's too much power for one man to have. It was something like that anyway. Yeah. And she was like, when she said it, in the end. And she was like, she was aware then, like, she thinks that's what rattled him. Yeah. Because for him to hold that much power, which then when you see the younger guys come in, they wanted that power. Like you saw, what was the younger guy called?
Which one?
The guy that eventually took over. Killed Johnny.
I'm not sure, to be fair.
He was a really good actor, by the way. Like, he was so cool.
He was brilliant.
But if you looked at him in the home, where he sort of battered his dad, and puts the thing round his neck, but then the power that he holds on his mum, when his mum goes, never come back in this house, and he turns around until she starts, and he has this like his mum, this lady, begging him to stop, and he doesn't do anything. But he's that threatening that he wants that power of everyone being scared of him. And that's why, like, you probably sympathise a lot more with Johnny, in a sense of, you look at him and you think, like, you're just a damaged man. and you're a bit lost. Whereas this young lad was actually like a bit tapped and a bit evil.
But I think the young lad also wanted to fit in as well, because he was asked to join the gang and they rejected him, and that when he came back, then he killed Tom Hardy's character Johnny. But I think what that young lad wanted was to fit in. His parents clearly didn't love him, and he didn't fight until he felt like he had to, and to be in that situation, then get rejected from someone you've imagined in your head of being part of a tribe with, then they reject you. He looked to me like he was out for vengeance.
There's also the element, though, I think, when that Fat Jack character was mentioned by Cathy, and he was the first person to ever challenge Johnny for his position. And when he goes fists or knives, as a man, he goes fists. If you notice, the only person to say knives to him was this younger guy of this new generation of sort of head cases that do not care and want to take this biker thing into a completely different direction. And that's why I think like he's a bit more like you can say like obviously difficult background, whatever. But by the sounds of it, all the guys that were in the gang had a very difficult background, which is why they found each other.
Yeah.
But these young guys were sort of using it more of an excuse of going, we're bikers now, and we'll do X, Y, Z, which is why when his response is straight away, he just goes knives. And bearing in mind, as when Tom Hardy's character rejects him initially because he was going to leave his boys, like he was going to leave his mates, and he goes, actually, do one because you should never leave your brothers. He pulls a knife out on him.
Yeah.
And all the way through the film, like this younger generation of bikers, they're all cowards because they can't do like the sort of in the film, the manly thing of having a fist fight.
Yeah.
And he wants the knife on him. And then he does an even more cowardly thing of pulling a gun out in the end.
I was just saying to Adam just before this as well. So I was watching an interview with Tom Hardy and they were saying that they kind of worked out that moment where he goes fists or knives was Johnny working it out. Like making up that rule there and then, like it hadn't been done before.
Oh, right.
He just makes it up and goes fists or knives because he knows this guy. He's not going to go for knives because he's like one of his mates.
It's a facade because he's just making it all up as he goes along.
He is, yeah. But that comes back to bite him again. However many years later it is, he makes it all up. He tries to be this like mafia don kind of like Mikasa Tsukasa, you and my family, and we look after our own, and then he starts losing control. Different chapters start taking it in different dangerous directions, start making it into, again, they were talking about how it used to be called bike riders, and then eventually it kind of got shortened to just bikers, and bikers was more synonymous with gang culture and the drugs, and how the drugs kind of took over from just like having a beer with mates and just being like dudes trying to find family where they couldn't find family elsewhere.
I think as well, for me, one of the important aspects of that film was the sound. It was very loud. Breathing itself was loud. Everything felt heightened. I hate loud noises. So watching that film,
Sorry, brother.
just there shivering in the back now. I hate loud noises. And well, yeah, fists or knives.
Knives, brother, let's go.
Take it outside the studio. Yeah, I hate loud noises. And that film was such a loud thing. I mean, when the bikes were revving, that was intimidating to watch. Now imagine being there and hearing that outside a pub. Like
it was like a war band.
Yeah,
like a war drum. They were revving it, and
one bike alone wouldn't have done anything. Just like one of them alone wouldn't have done anything.
You
it's
boys
when they were
are
together.
so good at this, you know. Like seriously, we watch films in different ways, and I love it. I like this.
It was sick though. I get what you're saying. It's definitely a film that people should see in the cinema.
Because
like you sit in that seat and it's like you're there on the pavement with them.
Yeah.
Like you can feel it, the vibration. It's like this raw. It's deafening.
It's like a rave. It's like
it is.
It's crazy.
What did you guys think about Cathy? I feel like we haven't spoken about Jodie Comer as much.
Phenomenal. I thought her vulnerability. She was the one character in that film which was constantly vulnerable throughout the film. It was a real contrast between the bikers or bike riders to her.
I feel like she said like she used to be a respectable woman, like, and then you see her in this environment with all these degenerates, and it's like a crazy contrast, but she just fits in perfectly. And it's like for Austin Butler's character, she was his diamond in this world of chaos. But she was brilliant, and like the accent as well. It took me a while to getting used to. I think you were saying this as well.
I think the first thing I said to you, I mean, Jodie Comer is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, we're sort of blessed because we're all from up here as well. Like well, it's not really the north, is it? It's the north of England, but it's not the north. Yeah. But like where we're from, the fact that she lives up the road, or she's from up the road, and she's gone on to do such great stuff, is absolutely unreal. And I think when you see her in a thing where you're used to hearing her, obviously she's a Scouser, isn't she? And when you hear her accent all the time, the first time I heard her accent, I was like, it's somewhat like a sketch. Like the first time you see her and she's in the laundrette and she's with the girls, and you see her in such a different way, that the minute you get used to that, it's like, oh right, okay, this is like a completely new character. But I mean, that's more like credit to her, because she's become from nowhere similar to Austin Butler. So after Elvis, I mean, I look at Austin Butler and I still think he's going to stand there and go like, hold on. I was expecting him to start singing One for the Money on the bike.
The Disney Channel.
Literally just like, One for the Money, like that, but he didn't do that.
But you know, you don't, you never hear anything about these actors until they just pop out of nowhere.
But if you look at her IMDb, I mean, she did Waterloo Road. She had one F on Waterloo. In it, I mean,
I've had 3 seasons. That'll be it for me.
She's done so much to lead up to her. What I remember first seeing her in, which was Killing Eve, and she was phenomenal in that. And then she went from Killing Eve to for me, like a couple of other things, and then this, and then Francine Mazer, who was the casting director, who's done a great job with this, along with like Babylon and loads of other films. I think the casting was perfect because she just was the character, and that's credit to her, and her accent as well. I mean, she must have like studied the tapes and tried to get like the inflections and the tonality of the voice.
You know.
Do you know
what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that like a common Canadian phrase? Because I haven't. My auntie.
Was she Canadian?
My auntie, she's Irish, and she says "you know" a lot, and it's very contagious.
Yeah, but was Cathy Canadian? Or
no,
was
she
she
Texas?
She was no, they're all from Chicago.
But
one thing I noticed, she says "you know" a lot in what she says.
She said "you know" a lot.
When Johnny started speaking to Benny about potentially him taking over and him leaving, he was saying "you know" a lot in what he was saying.
Dude, how do you
so
know?
I feel like
you know what?
It's so specific.
No, because I kept looking at him.
I feel like
going, you know.
But that happened after she came and spoke to him, so I feel like she influenced him, and I don't know if that's
probably why he came.
Probably from an actor's choice, why he chose to speak in that way. I think because of his character was being influenced by this other character.
But also, they're real people, and these tapes were real. They used the tapes for this film, so you'd imagine that you would have heard that a lot in the tapes.
And she's seen the photos, she's seen the stands, she's seen how all of them dressed. She was talking about how she went through the accent with a dialect coach and like phonetically like wrote it all out in terms of trying to work out why Cathy, although she's from like certain part in Chicago, has all these like inconsistencies with what a Chicago accent sounds like, which is why when we hear it we're like, sounds like a weird sketch. But it's just like, who is this character, this weird
that was
sort
only
of
at the
concoction.
beginning, and I think because I literally when the film finished, I said like, that was Jodie Comer's film. And then there's the first thing I said to Adam after the film, and I was like, that was Jodie. You look at the cast, the three of them. I mean, you look at the supporting cast,
like Norman Reedus, Michael Shannon, Boyd,
and the names in the film are absolutely. But that's like that. I mean, how did it go? Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, and Tom Hardy. How was it just and Tom Hardy? And it's like they're that phenomenal. But you know what, Jodie Comer, absolutely. I don't want to say carried the film, because I think every single character played their part unbelievably. But because it was like her character telling the story of the biker gang, I think she absolutely killed it. And then the minute you get used to the whole seeing her with this completely different accent that you've never seen her do before, but I think that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a dream role.
Yeah.
Like what she's had there is like, also working with Austin Butler and Tom Hardy, fair play.
I just want to say Norman Reedus as well. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Pops out of nowhere, and I was like, huh?
Was this his first job after Walking Dead, or like?
Nah,
like
he must have done other stuff.
Did you notice his fake teeth he had in as well? I thought they were class. I thought they were sick.
He was sick. It was great to see him like on the screen again since Walking Dead. Like, his character as well, how he is. I think he fit perfectly.
Yeah, apparently he was
into
just at
this world.
Cannes, sat next to the director. The director was like chatting to him, and he was like, didn't clock who it was, like Jeff Nichols. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this film, Bike Riders, if you're interested." And he was like, "Wait, what's your name again? Oh, you did Mud? Yeah, let's chat." And then turned out that Norman Reedus already had the photo book signed by Danny Lyons, like back at home, because he's a biker like through and through.
Right.
If you watch any interviews with him, he grew up like riding motorcycles.
Sick.
Well, I thought the whole biking sequences were really cool throughout the film, and just looking at also the when Cathy's telling the guy who's interviewing him that the how it's grown now and they're over the stage. You'll notice the gang got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you see that throughout the film, like where you can't even see the back of the biker gang because it's that big. And I just love, a lot of the time it's like nowadays it's either CGI or it's like a stunt double on a bike, but these guys were like riding the bikes, and it was just loads of all the cast that all had sort of like an equal part to play in the film, all just on the like. What a job that!
Makes you
Imagine
wanna
us
get,
four
like, a
here
Harley.
right now on some motorbikes.
Yeah.
Should we ask Waterloo
Should we
if
do
can
that? Can
get,
we
like,
have this
some
as an
Harley
off-cut?
Davidson?
Yeah, let's have it as an off-cut.
Shall we all get a motorbike?
Yeah.
And call it the Going for a Take?
Is the budget BMXs, boys? Is that what we
Harley
do?
Davidson's actually. But yeah, I think overall this film goes in my book of great films. I think this year there's been a few good films, but this one was great.
I think this is going to be like one of those films that would go down as like a classic. That I think people would say, "Oh, you have to watch that." It's the cast, the story, what it was about, history as well.
Is it as good as Oppenheimer?
On the spot.
Look at it. Why am I asking the questions? Tell me to shut up here, boys.
I mean, you can't because what makes a good film is it's got its own uniqueness, and you can't compare these two films because they're in their own sort of genre. You know what I mean? So, but they're both brilliant.
That was the most politician answer I've ever heard in my life.
I guess it's that time of the show, isn't it?
What time of the show?
Film associations.
Way!
So, who are we choosing, Liam?
Tom Hardy. Can I go first?
Have we done Tom Hardy before?
No, we've not.
No,
Haven't we?
not.
Okay.
Even if you have, boys, I've just been on IMDb, so I'm doing Tom
excellent.
Hardy.
Wow. Great. This is gonna
What
be-
was that film we just watched? Bike Riders.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
Right. Is it my go?
Yeah, let's go around this way.
We are going to go for Dunkirk.
That's a good one. I'm going to go for, is it Batman The Dark Knight?
Where he played Bane.
No, Batman Rises.
Something like that.
You know what? I'm going to give you the
Oh,
point.
Batman, Batman.
Bronson.
Oh, what a boy.
Oh, yeah.
Legend.
Great,
large feet, right? Yeah.
Venom.
Oh, Venom 2. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
The Drop.
Peaky Blinders. See that?
That's a good one, actually. I'm out.
What is it?
Mad Max.
Which one? Which one? Which one?
Mad Max, The Dark Knight Rises.
Are you on your phone trying to find films?
The Drop.
Listen, it's Mad Max.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's only in one
Fury
Mad Max.
Road.
Yeah.
Taboo.
The Drop.
Haven't
Yo, I
you
already said The
that?
Drop, man. Come back on your phone.
Go back on your IMDb.
Give us 1 second. You know what? He's one of them actors. He's been in so much, but
Yeah.
because he's that recognisable, you just think he's been in everything.
Yeah.
The Revenant.
Oh, shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Go on, you got one more, Adam.
Come on.
So
No, I'm out.
Black Hawk Down.
Is
Oh.
he in that?
Only because I watched an interview with
Is
him
he
today
in
where he
that?
referenced it. I haven't seen it.
I swear, is that the one about
a sick film.
Osama bin Laden?
They're in Iraq, aren't
Maybe. I don't know.
it's a war film. I know that.
Yeah.
they? It's messed up.
Is he in that? I've watched the film.
Have you?
Maybe.
Someone stole him. 30 seconds. What's he been in, boys? Inception.
Inception.
Oh.
No way. Wait, were you out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out.
Oh, shit.
Matt's
Okay,
definitely
playoffs.
gonna win.
Little rally. Inception. What else? He's just in all those, like, British kind of like...
He's in everything.
Band of Brothers?
Oh, that was going to be one of mine. He's been in everything.
Yeah.
What's he been in, boys?
I don't know. Ask IMDb.
I'm out. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just think of any, like, crazy wide-eyed guy. He played it. Oh, there.
Which one? Just give it us. I'm a guest. I'm a guest.
3, 2,
Do you want to win?
1.
Tom Hardy, the biopic.
You're out.
You're out.
Fair play, boys. Matt,
Nice.
well done, brother. Well done.
Matt is the winner.
I was cheating anyway.
Well,
I went
What
through
were
a
you
phase
thinking
when I was a kid where I watched every Tom Hardy film and then realised that Tom Hardy kind of just plays.
I love his accent, me, and everything. Like when he's
Yeah.
on legend, he's like, alright, yeah,
Or Venom, where he just goes like completely the other way.
Yeah. It was like that.
Have you
in-
guys seen Bronson though?
Yeah,
Bronson.
love it.
Sick film.
It was on. I remember he got a call at like 1 a.m. Saw an interview and he was like, it was Charles Bronson, just calling and saying, "Oh, how you doing, Tom? You alright? Yeah, I just want to ask about the film." So I said, "Yeah, mad."
Isn't this one where he's like talking to Charles? I was about to say Charles Bronson, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm alright. I've spoken up with this girl." And then Charles Bronson's like, "Well, the thing is, Tom, sometimes you might get your leg stuck in a gutter, but like, what you got to do if you want to move forward, you need to cut that leg off. Otherwise, you're gonna stay stuck in that gutter."
Yeah.
What a boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought like
what
I
an
was listening to
inspiration.
Charles
Imagine being
Bronson,
like on speed dial with one of those
yeah.
guys. That's intense.
So I think the thing is, right? Basically. Anyway, let's move on. Let's just move
Right.
on.